A young black woman did not want to be intimate on a national television show, and it brought up this question: what do nice guys think black women owe them? The woman in question, her name is KB. She is in a couple with Edmund. She's known her fiance for 10 days. She's seen him in person for 2. Did we talk about this earlier? Yes. Is there still a lot to unpack when we talk about the entitlement that people bring to you in your dating world? Yes. There's a part of the conversation that happens in one of the scenes in episode 6 of Love Island season 9 Denver edition that is not getting its due. So lightning fast recap. KB gets engaged to Edmund. She shares her boundary allegedly ahead of time that, hey, I want to wait 4 weeks, I want to get married to you, and then we can have this specific kind of intimate relationship. She asked this out of respect for her fiance because she says they have a different view of intimacy and she doesn't want to hurt his feelings or hurt hers. There's also a level of emotional and physical safety involved in this. She just met this person. Edmund allegedly knew about this, proposed, and then threw a tantrum when he realized he couldn't manipulate her to change her mind. Now I understand part of the controversy is we didn't see this conversation happen in the pods. There's a production reason for that. Love is Blind is fighting this reputation that they cast bad men. And in fact, one of their producers actually even said, like, we're just looking for good men at this point. We're trying to audition as many good men as possible. Please apply. People feel from the beginning, just in the pods episodes, that this is not really going to pan out into any satisfying plotline or story for Love. They are not going to watch. So you're going into this 6th episode a little shaky about some of the other couples, but you feel really good about KB and Edmund, and that is in part due to editing magic. Reading into how these two talk about KB's boundary and how he talks to the men about it, this is not a surprise to him. She didn't spring this boundary on him the minute they get into Baja. He never says that, and we know he would have complained about that if that was the case. The reason this scene is being shown to us and the reason we were not shown this conversation that happened in the pods is because they are trying to pull the rug out from under us. We were supposed to go in feeling like we had a strong handle on who was going to be a golden couple and who maybe not so much, and now that's changed. We were all cringing off our couches when we watched this grown man break down into tears about how he can't wait 4 weeks because we've heard this lie before. It comes from this old social narrative that it shouldn't cost that much to have access to a black woman's body. That she's strong and tough and has dealt with bad men in the past who have used her, so why does she suddenly need this emotional protection now? There's this idea that how could you, someone who could possibly get pregnant, get sick, or have life-complicating illnesses due to the results of this intimacy, dare say you might want some space? How dare you deprive a man of your body because he was nice to you a couple times over the course of 2 days? Relationships happen in context. How we see each other is contextual. So historically, black women did not have any agency over their wombs. They could have their wombs removed for experimentation or to be operated on so medical doctors could learn how to take care of white women without hurting the white women. Black women didn't have a choice if someone sold their body, if someone used it, if someone decided, oh, I'm going to use this body to create more free labor. Black women couldn't even decide who they procreated with on the plantations. More recently, black women did not even have agency in who they could date when dating started to become a thing. What we have to remember is that dating for black women is a modern invention. It's a new conception. Black women could not date freely without male surveillance or white surveillance until the mid-1960s. So are we surprised that people aren't used to free black women? No. This was an opportunity for Edmund to see KB's boundary and her emotional needs as an opportunity to build trust. Instead, he decides to shame her for the agency she is exercising that the ancestors worked so hard to give her. We have talked about how men in general have been socialized to rank and have status amongst themselves based off of how much access they have to women's bodies. If they can force, manipulate, or trick a woman into giving them access, they could be seen as higher up on some pecking order. There's even boasting about being able to buy women's bodies. Yes, even in this modern era. Edmund's insecurity isn't coming out of nowhere, and it's not just due to his family trauma. It's coming from this idea that he can't be abstinent, and him being abstinent is a mark against his manhood. He is more interested in using intimacy to prove something to himself, rather than the intimacy being a reflection of where he and KB are in their relationship. This is selfish. We have to call that what it is. He is using KB's boundary as a way of looking at his place among other men. There's so much concern with what other men think. And he's revealing that his polite behavior was in hopes that he would get a physical transaction that not nice men don't get. Not simply because this is just how you should standard treat a woman. And yes, he doesn't say that, but this is made clear by the fact that he's freaking out that there's no reward at the end for all his troubles. Now remember, there were two components to the pool party conversation where the men are comparing notes on their new relationships. Some of the men rightly point out to Edmund, look, that's your fiance. You technically have an entire lifetime of building a physical relationship with her. What the heck are you talking about with having to wait 4 weeks? He immediately doesn't even want to hear this. He bats it away because he needs KB to physically prove something to him about himself now. And here we come to the critical part. We have Anton, who mentions to Edmund something about virginity and how a girl being a virgin is a really reasonable reason for her to have the boundary. He's bringing this up because he's trying to talk to Edmund about how there's a difference between a woman who might have a cultural religious reason for why she's doing what she's doing, and a woman who is hiding the fact that she doesn't like you. But let's remember, KB is a social worker, and she has expressed and has shown that she is very communicative and very honest and levels with Edmund all the time. So Edmund should use some critical thinking skills and realize that's not what's happening here. And we should also add, Anton is wrong. At any point, at any time, someone could say, I don't want this kind of physical relationship with somebody. They don't have to have any reason that passes muster with anybody else. Now, this virginity thing, it's tied into social ideas about purity and worth. Ideas that have haunted Black women since they have been dragged here, and an idea and a concept that was not given to them. It was something that was far later used as a construct to get white men to actually try to respect Black women. That's a whole other amazing history lesson. But the way this conversation helps Edmund see what's going on is he thinks KB isn't a virgin. This calls back to the way Black women have culturally and socially and politically been treated in this country because they are already impure. They are expected to just let anyone have access to them because they've already been spoiled. They've already been taken advantage of. Now, is Anton spelling it out like that? No. But it doesn't mean that this hasn't been a physical justification for violating Black women's boundaries in the past. Due to Black women's social rank and the circumstances surrounding them legally, you didn't have any social weight if you said somebody did something to you. And Black women were intentionally not made entities in the eyes of the state because you can't enslave them, you can't impregnate them, you can't traffic them if they have social value that you have to respect. You can't terrorize an entire group of women into upholding your $1 trillion economy if you have to respect their bodies. Black and Native women couldn't go to the law for anything that happened to them because the law didn't recognize that. How do you violate a power someone was never given? Which is so hypocritical because so much of the US Constitution and the legal framework is based on the idea of natural law, but that only applies to certain people. Even in the 70s and the 90s, we had segments of the US government under health services lying to these women about what was being done to them because they wanted to trick them out of reproducing. To this day, for all women, we have a social fear of their bodily autonomy. This scene provides a stark, naked look at just how ugly this thinking is played out. It's a perfect example for those of us who are saying that there's no way that these white supremacist and patriarchal ideas about Black bodies just disappeared into the thin air after 200 plus years of being enforced. It reminds women that new generations of men harbor ancient ideas about who we are and what we owe them. And these are things that need to be sussed out right away. Men are not going to die because they can't be intimate with people. People treating you well isn't enough of a reason to give them access to your body. You clocked in the comments that a man who can't honor your boundary for a mere 4 weeks is certainly not going to be able to hold you through a disability or a health issue. KB can't fix this insecurity of Edmund's through her body. No woman can make a man feel man enough in a patriarchal situation because the status and the ranking that these men hold themselves to always depends on a loser. It's a snake eating its tail, and it is no longer Black women's jobs to fix that or do that. And unlike what some of these guys were talking about, no woman has to defend her choices on that. No is still a complete sentence. Now, Netflix will be releasing 3 more additional episodes tomorrow, and I'm wondering how long you guys think that KB will make it her job to regulate and help Edmund. Some of you have said you would have just gotten up right then and there and left after that conversation. That's something we could discuss. Thanks for being here.